LEGO Harry Potter is no stranger to remakes. After all, the theme has now been going on and off for the last 24 years, so it's inevitable that we'll see repeats of certain items and locations. However, I think it's safe to say that some remakes have been treated more fairly than others. And one scene that has definitely been due for a remake for a while was the Dueling Club. The first Dueling Club set first appeared alongside the original Chamber of Secrets movie in 2002, but here in 2025, it is finally getting a modern update. So, of course, I had to bring the two sets together to see how they compare to each other. So, hey, let's take a closer look. Thank you to LEGO for sending me the new Dueling Club set here to review. It's available now pretty much everywhere for $24.99 here in the US. I've got some other regional prices up on screen. As you can see here, the new set is scaled down significantly from the 2002 version, omitting this rather large structure here entirely and focusing all the parts into the dueling platform instead. One way though in which both of these sets are tremendously similar is in the minifigure selection, which is identical between the two sets. This features all four of our main players in the scene, including Harry Potter. Both of these are very standard for their respective eras, and I think they both do the job really well. The highlight of the original 2002 figure, of course, is that printed cape, which was standard for all of the Hogwarts students at the time. I know I say this in every video, but I would love to see LEGO bring back capes to all students. It just makes the figures so much cooler in my opinion. The highlight though on the new 2025 figure is going to be a recolor of the wand with a stud on the end. Originally, this only showed up in black in some of the 2023 sets. I was worried they would never bring this wand back, but it's really great to see here. I think this would have been a great set to include one of those spell packs again that we saw in the Battle of Hogwarts set from 2023. It is worth noting too that you get an extra of this version of the wand, so you're going to be able to give it to some of the existing figures in your collection too. Let's move on to Draco. The Draco from 2002 is very similar to Harry, you've just swapped out the torso for some Slytherin robes instead. The new Draco is also perfectly fine, just could have benefited from the cape. He's got the same wand with the stud on the end, this time in black. The next figure is a fun one. This is Snape. 2002 Snape, of course, is iconic. Back in his day, he was quite special between the glow-in-the-dark head and the relatively uncommon printed legs, which are always a treat. But you've got to admit this new one is pretty much perfect. Just again, could have benefited from a cape. This is the same one that was included in last year's Potion Classroom set. So he's got the printed arms and printed legs, which you just love to see. The last figure is my favorite from both sets. The 2002 Lockhart is amazing, even if his robes don't quite accurately reflect what you saw in the final movie. I actually ended up getting a brand new version of this figure because the gold printing on mine, if you had ever seen my revisiting Harry Potter videos before, was absolutely toast. And having this brand shining new version of Lockhart just fills my heart with joy. The gold little ornamentation on the torso there is perfect. And you gotta love a crisp new cape. But if you move over to the 2025 version, of course, this figure is spectacular. Definitely my favorite figure of the winter 2025 Harry Potter wave. He's making use of the Batman cape. That's the harder plastic cape here in sand green, which I think is just really perfect. It's so over the top. The face print is great. You've got the singular gloved hand on the torso. Awesome attention to detail, and I just love the little badge on his torso as well. You get some really cool colors in there. I love Lockhart minifigures, can never have enough of those, and it's so great to finally have this costume in LEGO form. I do need to point out that there is a very, very small side build into the 2025 set. It's just a little fireplace, which was pretty much an excuse to include one of the collectible portraits here. You could easily part this out and repurpose these elements for a Hogwarts expansion, so I have no problem with the inclusion here, and like I said, it just gave them an excuse to include one of those paintings. 2025's dueling platform is surprisingly unique as well. Where the old one basically just uses a catapult trapdoor mechanism to fling your opponent backwards, this one is far more complicated. Duelers are again knocked backwards, but this time from the opposite end of the platform. I guess it just plays into this idea that you are casting the spell in this direction and your opponent goes flying. It makes for a pretty clean look at the end of the day, much more so than the rather large platforms that launch you in the 2002 version. The best part of this though, and the thing that surprised me most about this set, is the fact that the detail that you see on here is all printed elements. You get 2 unique different prints, 4 1x8 tiles with the edge of the carpet, and then 2 2x6 purple pieces to go in the middle. That alone makes it superior to the old version, unsurprisingly. I thought for sure these were going to be stickers, so that was a really welcome surprise. I mean, comparing these two side by side, just take a look at the colors. I think this is something that the modern Harry Potter sets and modern Lego in general just has going for it. It's just a nicer color palette to work with. I love old grays. Please don't get me wrong, but the vibrance here is so much more in line with the magical world of Harry Potter. I'll just touch on this 2002 structure briefly. I cover it in far more detail in Revisiting Harry Potter Part 2 if you're interested. This was somewhat compatible with the old modular system. Funnily enough, the whole thing is just ever so slightly too tall, but it's all built upon an 8x16 brick, which was standard for the system back in the day. While the early years of LEGO Harry Potter are well known for having mostly all prints, this is one of the few sets in those first 3 years that actually had stickered elements. The banners are stickers here, though they've held up remarkably well for being as old as they are. There's a few fun secrets hidden throughout this, such as a printed 2x2 potions tile, a brown owl, the lion statues carved into the wall, and then this chair on the other side has a serpent, the same serpent that of course shows up in the duel later on. I found it fun to see that the 2025 set actually uses the same mold but in a brand new color, this time in dark tan, which I think is more accurate to the film anyway. This structure is really cool, but as the 2025 set shows, probably not entirely necessary for playing out the scene. Still, it makes the 2002 set just feel a lot more epic because of its scale. And we do have to talk about the price here. So back in the day, the 2002 set cost $19.99, but inflation adjusted, that hasn't fared so well. Meanwhile, we have the new set, which goes for $24.99, which is definitely a hard pill to swallow when you look at the size of the set. However, I'm going to say that if LEGO is going to make their sets overpriced, they better be perfect, and the new Dueling Club pretty much is. You get 2 perfectly fine figures, 2 excellent minifigures, the bonus and probably unnecessary inclusion of the painting, all prints, and a very effective dueling platform, which is a lot of fun and looks great the whole time. If you find this at that $5 discount, I think picking this up for 20 bucks is going to feel very satisfying. And I do need to point out too that this does integrate with the current most detailed version of Hogwarts yet. You can take out all the tables and chairs in the big Great Hall set and put this here instead, and it looks pretty good. I'm curious to see how the rest of this most detailed Hogwarts turns out. Of course, we have the rumors of the big tower coming later this summer, but honestly, it's been some of the smaller expansions that have really impressed me a lot more, such as last year's Boathouse, which I think was a great looking set, even if it was also a bit overpriced too. So there you go. Let me know which one of these you prefer, and also let me know if you want me to take a closer look at any of the other 2025 LEGO Harry Potter sets. There's some real interesting ones this time around, and I do appreciate that the theme is always experimenting with different ideas. We get some truly wacky things out of this line here in the 2020s. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have yourself a great life.